Hey guys, welcome back to the Marriage and Real Estate Podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Aisha Shelton, and we have another couple for you this week. And this couple is from the East Coast. So we know that we have followers all over the country. And so it's nice to hear what's happening on the East Coast and what couples are doing on the East Coast. So Andreas and Leah, is very nice of you to join us today. I'm going to ask that you guys introduce yourselves to our audience, tell them more about what you do.
Okay. My name's Leah Kragh. I am a pediatric occupational therapist. I am married to Andres Bernal, who is a very skilled real estate investor. And through him, I've learned a ton about real estate. I've become more comfortable with the practice of real estate investing. And yeah, I'm along for the journey as certainly a big support.
Yeah, so my name is Andres Bernal, and I am a real estate investor here in Connecticut. And I started this journey kind of alone, but now it's like we're going together for this rough journey that's the real estate.
So question, how long, Andres, have you been doing it? And then when did y'all come together? And give me the backstory, like what were you doing before? And then how did you get into this? And you met, of course, Leah, and then now y'all doing this together.
Yeah, so I started my first investment property was December 2016. And I started before that, I bought a property, a small condo for myself, but it was not an investment. It was just purely to live in it. But before I moved into that condo, I thought about, like, if I leave and I rent it out, how much it can be rented and if I'm going to be okay. Then after that, I left. I bought my first investment property, which was a triplex in 2016. And I think our story started in 2017, October, I will say. Mm-hmm. And then the funny thing here is that we moved in together because I purchased a property in a really good neighborhood, which this is a house where we live in. And we moved in 6 months after. It was like 9 months after we met.
Right.
This house has been a blessing for a lot of reasons. It's been a ride. Yeah.
And at that point, I was in graduate school. I had no concept of real estate investing. I knew that my landlord in graduate school was an investor. I knew he had a ton of properties. I was always curious about it, but it was so far from my awareness of something that would be possible for me and in my life. And so Andres is right about the 6 months, like 6 months into our relationship. I did spend a lot of at the property, that triplex that he was actually living in at the time. And so I started to learn a little bit about like what it was to have tenants and, you know, how to take care of a property and how to treat tenants well and all of that. And then eventually he was curious about what it was like to buy a single family home. And he sort of just said, I was from New York. And he's like, don't move back. Like, let's move into this house together and let's see how it goes because, you know, no time to waste. So it was a cool transition. And I felt like I learned a lot and even pretty quickly.
Andres, did you feel some kind of way about like moving into one house versus having multiple doors, like right at your fingertips?
Yeah, so when we moved here, I had I had 5 doors. So I had which is my first property. I was renting that out. Then I had the triplex, and I believe I had a student rental. That, by the way, part of the reason, so I own a lot of student rentals, and part of the reason why I own it is because she was living in one of them. Mm-hmm. And that before, so when I met her, she was in grad school, like she was saying, and she lived with 3 other girls. And I got very curious about, like, how is he doing it? How much is he charging in? and what is the lease and all that. And right now I own probably 6-7 units, all student rentals between multifamily and single family. And I think yeah, it was a win-win situation. I guess.
So Leah, was he the landlord that you were so interested in?
No, he wasn't the landlord actually, but I had put his landlord in touch. I put my landlord at the time him in touch with my landlord at the time. So he was like wanting to learn about that, and I saw that he was curious about it. And but I understand that the way the story was told, it did sound like he was the landlord. No, he was not my
Yeah, because
landlord.
it was like a landlord's doing something, and then he's like, "Well, she was living in one of my units." It's like,
No,
no.
I think my living when we had met, my living in that space got him curious about student rentals.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Andres, what sparked your interest for real estate? Like, why real estate investing? What was your inspiration?
So my inspiration is like probably 90% of your listeners, and is Bernal from your W-2 job. I was working as a tennis instructor at the time, and I was working 50, 60 hours a week. And one weekend, I'm like, listen, I'm burned out. So I found that real estate, I found businesses, and I found stocks. And I'm like, okay, businesses is something that I will do in the future. I know I will do that. Stocks didn't convince me what I found because I didn't have a lot of control. And then I'm like, real estate. So growing up, also my godfather, he's a big builder in the Dominican Republic, and that sparked my interest. I'm like, he has a lot of money, and I didn't understand what did he do at the time, but I'm like, oh, he must be doing well in real estate. So I think that sparked my interest. And then I was burned out, like a lot of people that are listening right now. And I think that I always explain this, that real estate and changes in your life come from pain. They don't come from comfort. They don't come from you wake up one day, oh, I feel great, but I need to lose 20 pounds. Like, it doesn't work like that. It works with something like working in your head. So I'm gonna invite everyone here to, like, if you are having any pain, like you know, you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you want to have more vacation, or you're working a lot, or you want to buy your mom a house or your dad, take that pain as an opportunity to say, I'm gonna do better. And I think real estate has been an avenue where we have enjoyed our life much better because of that income is coming in. And now that, for example, our son, she's doing 5 days from now, and we can retire. I mean, today we are so fortunate of having that income from the rentals that I'm gonna be off for a month and a half or so, and I'm gonna be okay. Like, we're gonna be okay, and we can do the whole year like that, but because of real estate, because we put the work.
So Leah, I have a question for you, and this might be a personal question.
Nope, that's fine.
When you guys got together, what made you take a shot on a guy who was like figuring out this investment thing, non-traditional income structure, and you're like, hey, I want to build a life with this kind of wild card, right? Like, what did that experience, what was that like? You, especially in medical field, you're in a very traditional career path.
Yes, definitely. I think there are two things. I went back to graduate school and graduated when I was 30. So I was like a little bit, behind, so to speak, but didn't feel behind to me totally. So I definitely knew it took me some time to figure it out. I also knew, because Andres was a tennis instructor, and, he seemed to, like, he owned this house, and, I knew he was like, he had a stable life, right? I could see with my eyes that he had a stable life, although he was hungry, so to speak, for more. And I saw he was such a doer. He was such a mover and a shaker. So I think, even one example is, like, I remember going to his the property he was living in. He lived on the 3rd floor. He had 2 tenants below him. I saw the way that he interacted with his tenants. He was like so respectful. He was clearly trustworthy to them. And I was able to witness that, of course, in the world of like, you know, dating someone who's friends you don't know or anything like that. It's like it's always you're kind of like shooting in the dark. But I remember one thing that felt like, wow, this guy really means business, is he had asked me like, what do you think of this flooring? And I was like, oh yeah, like I like the gray one. I remember just being like kind of throwing out like, he's like, yeah, I want to update this apartment. He's like, and I said, yeah, I like that one. I swear it must have been like 48 hours. The entire flooring was done. I was like, this guy really like, he does what he says he's going to do. So I think there was evidence, but it was also, I was going off of a feeling that felt like I trust this person. And we had spent a lot of time together in a short period of time. And there were a variety of people who I met who were in his life that really like, without being put up to it, were vouching for how great he was. So it just kind of, I went off of a gut instinct.
Yeah. You know what? Women look for security, right? Like for the most part. And while he didn't provide traditional security, and it's really funny because I felt the same way about Kevin when we first met. He was just such a doer, like he could execute, that I'm just like, oh my God, like this guy's amazing. Cause you know, I didn't meet very many guys like that. So when I met Kevin, I thought like, okay, this guy is something special. And that is a form of security, right? To know that you've chosen a partner that can and will get things done. And so there are people who have partners that, you know, are traditionally secure. And then there are those that, you know, no matter what, because what it told me, that what I learned was that no matter what happens in life, my husband has the grit to keep going and give us everything that we need. And I see that, you know, in the conversation that we're having with you and Andreas. So that's really interesting to see those parallels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys came together and, you know, y'all moved in together, and then, of course, relationship, you know, continues and you decide to take the next step, getting married, blending your finances, what was that process like for you guys? And then Leah, even you investing in some properties, or y'all figuring out, okay, now we're together. So every property that you buy, now we have this kind of joint attachment to, or now even with your son, like now here's the legacy piece. Walk us through those steps, you know, financially, in the physical act of putting your lives together, having the wedding, and then blending your finances and investing together.
Yeah. I could speak to it first, and then maybe Andres can speak. I would say that initially, I think it's really important for me to call this out. Like, I was really interested in real estate because it was novel, and I love novelty, and I was very curious about it, but I was really overwhelmed by it. I did not understand it. I didn't like, I think one big thing is I didn't understand how, like our money wasn't going to like any repairs or anything. I was like, what? Like, where is it? Like, that's our money. It's just kind of like, but as I, you know, went on and started learning more and asking more questions, and asking Andres to give information to me in more bite-sized pieces, I started to understand like, oh, I see, you know, rent, like part of what you get for rent, like it's not all just cash flow. It's actually like you put money away for repairs, and you put money away for any vacancies that could be. So I started to learn like little by little, a little more and more, and understanding more. Like knowledge is power, right? So understanding more actually really helped me to have more respect and want to get involved, rather than like hide in the dark and be like, you just go with it, right? So at that point, I also realized my financial education, like I came from divorced parents, like very working class family. No one really taught me a ton about saving. I mean, the best that they could, but Andres certainly understood finances much better than I had. So much trust in him that eventually, I remember, I think like the first amount that I had invested was maybe like $10,000 or something. And I was just like, I really trust you. Like, I see that the return will be this for it. And that's kind of how I would say that's how I started to get more involved. rather
You were
than
like,
just like
don't lose my
observing.
money or we're breaking up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I gotta give you a few nuggets for people that are listening here of like how invest with your spouse or with a partner. So if you're let's start with the spouse. One of the things that I wish I would have done is to give her the information that she needs to know, not all the details. And using the language that she can understand, like the real estate lingo that she can understand. Because sometimes I will come with like, accelerated appreciation and all this, and she was like, wait. So given like the most like simple is much better. And even though the way that I talk to like my capital investors now, we raised almost $1 million, and we talk in a simple term that everybody like a fifth grader can understand, right? So that's my first advice. And then my second advice is like show like proof of it. So for example, one of the things that I did was, even though I would start making some cash flow for my other properties before we even got married. And one of the things that I did, and I really recommend everybody to do, is like show like, hey, with this cash flow, this will be paying our mortgage, or this will be paying our insurance, or this will be paying our trips, or like part of our trips. And then I'm like, I'm not only for myself, but this is all I'm working. And every weekend that I'm working and all the sacrifice that I'm making is for us. It's not for me. I'm not buying the next, Porsche. I'm investing in our relationship. So first, I will say to, talk in simple language. And second, you have to show you prove it. And then third, once you have that trust, that's when she started to say, okay, I have 10,000, let's just invest together. And then I'm paying her, or we paying each other every month. Like, and that is the best thing, because she it's tangible. It's not like I'm telling her invest this 10,000 and then in 3 years, then you're gonna see the return. Right. It's like now, like take a couple months, right? But then now you're gonna see the benefit. So I think it's very important.
I would say too, just add on to that, because we lived together for a couple of years before we actually got married. And then I would say like we had one deal together that I had sort of like put a big chunk of money into. And I think with that, it was like it paid for our mortgage or whatever, most of it. And then, so I already started seeing that. So less money was coming out of my bank account to pay my portion of the mortgage. So, okay, now I'm seeing that. And then once we got married, we decided we each have, Andres has far more properties that I'm not involved with. So he has other bank accounts, but we have our personal bank accounts, and then we have a joint bank account. And that's been awesome. I will, as like a very independent woman, I'm very comfortable sharing a bank account, but I'm not comfortable not having my own. So I always want to have my own, right? But we share this bank account, and then we each put in money every month, and based on like how much more I've invested, then like instead of the cash flow going directly to me, I just put less in during that month, and he puts more in as just like the kind of the person who's managing the cash flow, right? So it's like I see it directly there as well.
No, I love that. And I think everybody has to find their way that it works in their household. You know what I mean? So it's like we all have different backgrounds. We all have different raising, different experiences. So there are different comfort levels, but finding that blended ground between your partner, like we do our joint bank account, and then we also have our personals, but we created something called a 250 account. And we did this while we were working. It's not really necessarily operating like this currently, but what we used to do is every time we get paid from my paycheck, we'd each get 250, and then we'd have a joint bank account that all of our bills would come out. So every 2 weeks, you're getting $250 that you can spend how you want to. And what we see is the trends between each other, right? So like she'd have $1,000 in her 250 account, and I'd have negative $10 in my 250 account. And she's like, obviously I'm the better one with the money. I was like, yeah, that's why you have all the money. I don't. So in the joint bank account, she's the manager of that because obviously the 250 accounts show that she's much better with money than me.
Yeah,
That's a great experiment. I love that idea.
And I also have to say, I think women are way better managers than men. And I have to say this because, growing up, I witnessed that with my mom and dad. But also, I think that with men take more, I think, irrational decisions than women. And yeah, there's a thing where like, oh yeah, women like shop and all that. But like, I feel like men, when there's an idea, they just want to spend it, and there's not a process of thinking how, at least when a woman wants something, she has been thinking about that for a while. But a man is like, let's just jump right in, and it takes discipline. Savings is a muscle that you grow. It's like you go into the gym, you work on the biceps, and it eventually grows. The savings mentality, it grows, and I'm gonna say also that if you're just saving to saving, it's not gonna lead to anything. You have to have a plan of how you're gonna invest that money. Mm-hmm. And I think real estate by far, I mean, I have a business besides real estate also, and real estate by far is the best investment, not only because you're saving and you're getting that cash flow, but all the benefits, loan pay down, the appreciation, the forced appreciation that we do, the tax benefits. I mean, the income, it snowballs so hard and so fast with real estate that it's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. What's your other business?
So I own Tennis Academy.
Oh, there we go.
Cool.
I used to play tennis. I played varsity tennis in high school way back 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I obviously haven't played tennis in a very long time.
That's such a good life skill to have. That's another thing. I took a chance. I'm athletic in the sense that you give me like a kayak and I'll go for the whole day. But when Andres was like, yeah, let's try out tennis, I was like, all right. So again, takes a lot of trust to partner with someone. But yeah, it's a great life skill to have.
No, for sure. So as we transition into the next segment, one of the things that I want to talk about is what's next for you guys. Like, what's the big vision, whether it's a number of units, whether it's, a certain portfolio size that you start transitioning into, maybe larger scale multifamilies. What's the big vision?
So as far as like the number of units, me and my partner, we're gonna get to 100 units.
This is the partner Andres has aside from me. He has a business partner. With
my business partner. Yeah. So we want to get to 100 units, and I think we talk about So this year, the goal for this year is to get $20,000 in cash flow out of all my and my business partners' properties. So
$20,000 is your take home from
no, all together. So 10 and 10. Yeah, because we're 50-50 partners. So 10 and 10, right? And that's just the portfolio that we have, not my own. I think right now we are almost halfway there. And it's May, so we're doing pretty good, I'll say. And then as far as units, we want to get to 100 units, and then we're gonna see if we're gonna keep going or not. That's like our max. So we have right now 20 units together. So yeah, as far as that, I think as far as like as a couple, I always have, my biggest why is family, and my biggest why is to have that time and have that choice to spend time with my family. Even before I started investing, like I grew up seeing my dad working so hard, so much, weekend, 80 hours a week, and I'm like, I don't want to be like that. So I do work a lot and I do enjoy it, but I have the choice also to like let it go a little bit and say, let's just have vacation, or I'm gonna be with a baby for 2 months if I want to. I have that choice, and that's the beauty of real estate. And I think that has been always the goal.
Yeah, I think too
Yeah.
that for Andres and I, as a couple, as a partnership, a marriage partnership, we and certainly I think in the bigger picture, but what we would love to do is have, like buy a property together where the cash flow either goes towards like saving for our child, right? Because we're about to welcome our first child. And with him in mind, with his life in mind, it's like, why not use the skills that we've built and grown together to invest in a property that perhaps could cover, something like his first year of college or even more or further, right? So I think the goal, and Andres and I have talked about this, is that at a certain point in time, we would love for our child to know what that business looks like. So even if he's 14, right, like just going and like maybe weed whacking, or like just kind of like meeting the contractors, or just like knowing what the property is and knowing that eventually it could be in his name, and that's something he can take pride in and work hard towards.
Yeah. Andres, is your godfather proud of what you've done so far?
He is very proud. I talk to him maybe twice a year on WhatsApp. But yeah, he's very proud. He's very impressed. Yeah, and mostly my dad, because I think my dad, I don't know if you guys can relate, but my dad saw me as he always have hope in me, and he always he's very business, he has a business and very business oriented. But I don't think my dad has a lot of faith that I'm gonna succeed in business, not in real estate. And now, when I decided to come to this country, I had a huge fight with him, and we didn't talk for 6 months, which is heartbreaking, because my dad is one of my best friends. I made the decision. I said, I'm gonna make it worth here in the US, and I'm gonna make it happen. And now that I just talked to him yesterday, and I'm like, Dad, we just closed on 4 in a 2 unit. And he's like, I just can't believe it, how much you have grown, because we bought 20 units in September to now in a small multi. Yeah, so we have grown a lot, and it's because a lot of we can talk an hour about the way that we have grown, but yeah, I think I think my dad is super proud, and my family. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Real
that's
estate
really
can
awesome.
definitely be life-changing and create opportunities that people otherwise would never be exposed to. Like, you could have kept going and just been a burnt out tennis instructor, and your life would have been fine, but you never would have experienced the level of peace and happiness and success that you're experiencing now. So you taking that leap and taking that initiative, and of course having the support of your wife, and really partnering on this journey to build wealth for your family is a beautiful thing.
I think also the chances that your spouse or your partner don't support you, the chances for you to succeed is like slim to none.
Right.
I think that I believe that if you have a growth mentality and your partner doesn't, it's gonna be really hard, almost impossible for you to grow. Yeah. For example, not a growth mindset, she will probably be okay for me buying one property a year, right? And yes, eventually, in 20 years, whatever, or 10 years or 15 years, we can retire, maybe, right? But now, I think because she has allowed me and support me to buy all these properties, we are in a really good shape financially, and we can make decisions that not a lot of people can make. Like right now, I mean, how I think for me, the most beautiful thing about real estate is having the choice of you know what, honey, you have the choice to work or not. If you like it, if you love it, keep going. If you don't, then don't do it. And I have the choice too. And we can take our kids and our kid, I will say, and in the future, like explore, like, you know, you're not going to class today, we're gonna go to Australia, like things like that, you know. So having the choice is the most beautiful thing. And people think it's like having the money in the bank account, and it's not. I can guarantee you, I have over 6 figures during the pandemic sitting in the bank account. I had a lot of money there, and it felt empty. It felt like there was no purpose. But now I can see things more clear.
Right. And
Can I
think,
ask you a question?
oh yeah.
Why Australia? Why'd you pick Australia?
Yeah.
He's picking the furthest place from home.
Yeah. So yeah, why Australia? Part of it is because we went to Greece and Portugal last year.
We're just trying to push it further.
Yeah, we travel to Costa Rica. We love traveling too. So I don't know, Australia seems
so
a little
novel.
far.
I'm just like, well, if you leave on Monday to go to Australia, you're not gonna be back in class on Monday. Like, that's not gonna work out like that.
Unfortunately, we'll be back for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
But I do want to add, I think, because just to like touch on your question from earlier, I think like the tail end of the question, which maybe didn't get answered. I think that, you know, talking about like the amount of trust that I've built in Andres and in this whole process, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, the four unit is the highest number of units you guys have purchased, because otherwise it's been like 2 unit, 3 units.
It's like the biggest
build. But you know, I think even a year ago, I would have been like, what? Like, you want to buy a 6 unit property that's like so big, it's so intense, like there's so much to take care of. But now that I actually understand more, and he's given me information in those digestible pieces, I now understand that, like, whether it's a 4 unit house or like a 10 unit house or a 12 unit house or like a storage facility, right, with like tons of units, it doesn't really matter. It's all like, it may require a little bit more upfront and of course like more money to invest, but ultimately if you have the right team and the right supports and the right people, it's the same as owning a 2 unit house. It's not so far off, so it doesn't feel as intimidating to me. And I do think that ultimately that's a part of Andres's and his partner's goal, is to have some units that are dynamic and different and perhaps larger. So
no, that's good. Is there a book or resource that you would share with other people that have helped you guys in your journey of marriage and real estate?
I will say, I mean, there's a tons of real estate books out there. Brandon Turner, from when he was a Bigger Pockets, he wrote amazing books. The BRRRR strategy, the long-term real estate investing by David Green was really good.
Even non-real estate books like
Grit.
Andres always talks about grit, and like even just like books that just talk about self-development, right?
Yeah.
So like I've heard so much about grit from Andres. Even like in my work, like I'm a pediatric therapist and occupational therapist, and I work with parents, and it's like so much of the work is like looking at like self-reflection, right? It's like part of business and marriage and partnership is like understanding self-reflection. So it's like, if you're not doing that work, then how's your business and your marriage going to flourish?
Yeah.
So I do think that like grit is one of those big ones.
I also think that this is gonna sound, I don't know how it's gonna sound, but so we went to therapy, even though we didn't have like problems, because people think that you only go to therapy when you have problems, but that's far from the truth.
Yeah, we went to like pre-marriage, just like to talk about
stuff. Not like, so we had a few sessions, and I think it was awesome, and I think I will recommend to people. It was hard, it was really hard, but it was awesome in the sense of like, I think people should do that. Again, not waiting to have problems, but like just go and how about someone to like strengthen your relationship, because that's what I think it happened. So and honestly, having an honest conversation even before marriage, I think marriage just amplifies what your relationship is. Marriages won't solve any problems. If you're right now, if you listen to this and you're dating and like you want to buy 100 units, but your partner doesn't, you better try to solve that before you even get married.
Yeah.
Because
true.
maybe later on. So yeah.
Yeah. Any other advice for couples who are married that either want to be in real estate or, they're just starting out? Any advice for them from the two of you?
I honestly can't emphasize more clearly how important it is to just like, go into things with an open mind, of course, but also for the person who knows more to really be able to explain at a rate or educate or find the education if they can't do it themselves at a rate that the other that the non not as curious or not as adept in real estate partner is needing. Like that, I certainly needed more simplified language, more bite-sized pieces in order to be on board. Had I not had that, being on board would not have been as easy for me.
Yeah, that's really
That's so
good.
true.
Yeah, I think I will advise two things. Number one will be to let the ego outside of your house. Try to like
What does that look like?
well, yeah, I mean, so I think that most of the problems of couple, whether financially, whatever problems people have, I think is mostly like ego. And I think that you gotta enter a relationship where you have worked in the ego gym, you have worked out to like be strong enough to let the ego outside of home.
Right, and
outside
being
of-
able to hear each other.
yeah, I
And
think
the concerns.
yeah, I think it's important to just like hear and try to understand and not put in your what you believe also always. And I think in terms of investing, I think that if you want to be on board with your partner to invest, like again, make it simple and be truth to yourself and prove that you can do it first before you have any marriage. But like other partnerships, you have to like show that you are business and show that you're an honest and that you're truthful, and everything else will come. I think it will come right away.
Actions over words.
Yeah.
Always.
Leah, what's funny is, Kevin and I talk to a lot of couples, and that ego thing is a trend in this marriage and real estate journey. Typically, the person who probably knows the most or is the front runner in the relationship when it comes to the real estate, we do have to take this journey, right? Where they're like, I know everything. I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what it is. And it takes that up, the success and a little bit of lessons to come with it for that ego to stabilize. And I mean, we experienced that in our relationship. And when we talk to other couples, that happens too. And honestly, for me, I'll have to say I'm grateful for it now. Obviously, when we were going through it, it was a challenge, but it taught, him like, okay, I do need to listen to what she says. And she does add value to, this journey that we're on. But also it brought us closer together too. And it made us work together a lot better because we took that journey. So I don't know, guys, that might be one of the, requirements to this whole marriage and real estate thing. There's a few bumps in the road, and that ego seems to be one of them.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
I will say also, actually, you inspired me to say one more thing that I forgot. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Because so I think that Leah, I appreciate that Leah challenged me sometimes. Well, like I said, hey, this happened today, blah, blah, blah. And she said, but what about this? What about that? Right. But I recognize if you guys work both in the same business, what happens is that, and I think that's why couples that have their own business don't work, is because they want to be in each other's lane. So like Aisha, if you are, good at this, and then I can take this. So try to stay like in your lane and not like cross over the other lane and be okay with it. And again, the truth is, like, you know, I might be good and like analyzing the deal, getting the financing, you know, and Leah can be good at, which is good, and staging and picking colors and decorating and having a better judgment of tenants.
Mhm.
And that it could be a win-win situation. I think the best relationships in business happen when you bring something to the table instead of you bringing the same thing than your partner.
Yeah, like celebrating, right? Like if we're only, and this is part of removing the ego, if we can celebrate our partner's strengths and know our own, which is the ultimate skill, right? Like it's so hard for some of us to own what our strengths are. If we can celebrate theirs and own our own, we don't always have to feel like we have to be good at that thing. And they have to be good at what we're doing. Because it's like, it doesn't have to be 50-50. Like some days it'll be 80-20 and other days it'll be 90-10 and some days maybe 50-50. But it's not about, it's just about recognizing like, this is your strength, this is your power, and seeing someone stand in their power and do well in it. And then they can celebrate your successes and your power. So I think that Andres has a really good point with that. And yeah, like I think maybe as human beings, regardless of real estate or marriage, it's like, what's the first thing to work on is like, if you can see where your ego gets in the way, you'll get so much further.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. I love that. So what, and this is my last question, Aisha might have one. What do you guys enjoy the most about the life that you built together?
Tuesdays.
Yeah, so first of all, yeah, so we have our routine on Tuesday mornings. We have breakfast together and we spend the whole morning together. Even if it's working, we spend together.
Mhm.
We also have a date night during the week. I think it's really important that you get out of the house and you do something fun or go out to eat.
Right, regardless of what work needs to be done. right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's priority, and it's, you know, it's not scheduled, but it's priority. So I think I have a lot of fun with my wife. I think we are very playful. I think that our intentions are very sincere, and I think that we are like a yin yang, because you know, Leah is more expressive of feelings. I'm a little bit more. I'm learning to be. So I think I think what I really enjoy is that it's 100% balance.
right.
It's not like we put 50 each other. It's like we put 100. We both put 100%,
Right.
and we make it work.
I really think too that with the blessing of real estate in our lives and what it's afforded us is like we each have our own business separate from real estate. And so we do some work on a Tuesday, and then, you know, like I'm at the tail end of my pregnancy and Andres has not missed, I think he's missed one appointment, and they've all been middle of the day or early morning on a weekday. It's like, who has that ability other than a couple who's created a life that's flexible like this? And, you know, maybe on a Saturday he has to run to Lowe's or like, visit a property or whatever. But it's like, we also have the benefit of spending hours together in the middle of the week. And that's such a gift.
No, true. My wife likes to take me to Vegas in the middle of the week to see fly back. So, you know.
I do. We're not gamblers, but we definitely like a good show.
Like
So
shows. I don't, real estate is enough of a gamble for me. I don't.
I know, right? We gamble enough in our everyday life. And so we don't need the thrill of Vegas to give us that. But we
Just the
truly appreciate, I know, right? We truly appreciate you guys taking the time to share your marriage and real estate journey with us, with, you know, Kevin and I and our audience. And you know what? I know Kevin felt the same way that I did. There's just so many similarities between the journey that you guys have shared today and what we've experienced. And I think it really is a trend and a theme. The one thing I can say is that you truly are a blessed union. I can tell that you bring out all of the really good things in each other. And I am truly looking forward to see what you guys produce and the impact that you make on this world. We really hope to hear hear from you guys soon. We are having a
Yeah.
marriage and real estate conference in November here in Houston. So y'all, oh, you're having a baby. Dang, you should bring that baby.
Maybe. Maybe you
Maybe
can come with
we'll be
us.
old enough by then.
And I'll
Yeah,
say
so
this.
we'll
I challenge you guys to keep up the routine even with the baby, because this is a new journey and baby
Yeah.
life can be hard. So, keep up the breakfasts, keep up the date nights, even with the baby in tow. Focus on your marriage, because that baby is going to grow up and go off on their own, and it'll be you two together. So,
Yeah,
and my
that's
wife
such
taught me that.
valuable advice.
Thank you so much.
That's so
Much needed.
valuable. Yeah, and it's been so nice to talk with you guys too, and just hear about a little bit about your story, and that's very valuable. We've certainly talked about that, but to hear from someone else who has a similar sort of lifestyle and journey is really beneficial for us. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been, I'll say, our honor to be here, and yeah, looking forward for the sequel in a few months. Or
We
Look,
hope so.
I definitely want the comeback. I want the, hey man, we had a baby and now the world is crazy.
Yep, and we got our 100 units.
Yeah.
That is true. We should have a
Yeah.
100-unit
Yes.
celebration party with you guys
Yeah.
for sure.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank
But
you.
where can people find you? I want, people to be able to track your journey.
Mhm.
So I'm more active on Instagram. So my handle is Andres Bernal, AndresBernal, but instead of an L is a 1. And I'm on Facebook as well. I'm active a little bit on Facebook, mostly Instagram. I'm trying to build a community of people that they don't know about real estate. They don't know a lot about real estate, or they have 1 or 2 properties. And yeah, giving my best out there. I will say through social media.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Leah, do you do social media at all or no?
I do. I have a business social media. I mean, listen, it's not for the faint of heart, learning about kids and the psychology of development and behavior, but I would love to have everybody follow me. It's Flourish, the word flourish, FLOURISH_families. And that's where you can find me. And that's on Instagram, I should say.
Now, I have a great book recommendation. I don't know if you've read it, but it's The Doctor's Guide to Real Estate Investing.
Ooh,
Wait, which one?
The Doctor's Guide.
It's called The Doctor's Guide to Real Estate Investing. So all my friends, we have doctor friends who have been interested in real estate, but haven't really gotten into it. And a lot of it is not just the scheduling, but kind of, I don't have the brain space for all this real estate stuff. It's a good book. So it's called The Doctor's Guide to Real Estate Investing for Busy Professionals who don't think real estate is for them. It's by
I love
Dr.
it.
Corey
Awesome.
S. Fawcett.
Okay.
I'm gonna write it down. I have some Audible credits I have to use too.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
That's a yeah. Next read.
Amazing.
Books
Thank
are
you.
my thing for sure. So,
Thank
but
you.
no, thank you guys so much for being on the Marriage and Real Estate podcast. We look forward to celebrating your 100 units and definitely seeing your community grow and your portfolio grow. And of course, your family grow. And we look forward to seeing you out at the conference as well. So we'll be tracking you and keeping up with you. And, just drop us a note with a picture of the baby, because we definitely want to see that. Yeah,
Awesome.
we
Thank
appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you too.
Thank you so much.
thank you.